In today's video, we're going to be talking about Hurricane Lee that, as you can see, is expected to impact potentially the northeast there of the United States and the southeast there of Canada. We'll also be talking about the tropics overall, diving into the upcoming pattern where we do have this cool down going on and then potentially a big warm-up afterwards, so a little bit of a big warm-up into a more summer direction for a little bit as well. We're going to be just talking about the overall pattern. Before we get into things, be sure to check out Prestige Weather in the description and pinned comment down below. We do early access to our seasonal and monthly videos, so that does include our most of our winter forecast videos, which we're going to have a third one coming up soon. We have the snowfall forecast available there and the first freeze forecast. All of those are pretty exclusive there, completely exclusive. I don't know why I say it that way. We do consulting in there as well. It's worth checking out. It's $5 a month, again, in the pinned comment and description down below. Now, as you might notice, my voice is a little bit messed up. You might have also noticed that we missed a video yesterday. I had a terrible sore throat, and it was just not going to be possible. Today, it is possible. Not the highest quality of voice on my end, but we are going to just get through this together. So hopefully I start feeling better, but, you know, the weather happens whether I'm sick or not, so there is still things to talk about, and I will be here to do it. If at all humanly possible, I will be here to make a video, so I do apologize. It makes me sad that I've missed videos recently. This is the second one, I think, within a month, so it really upsets me, but, you know, it is what it is. We do upload most every day, I guess you can say now. This one is still at 115 miles per hour, Hurricane Lee, that is. It is going to downgrade down to a Category 2, and eventually 1, and then eventually tropical storm status as it impacts there in between Maine and Canada there. So we are going to be seeing some pretty major impacts from this one, pretty close to Bermuda as well, so we should get tropical storm type impacts potentially, depending on if it's on the western or eastern end of that cone. We do have tropical storm watches there for Bermuda, so that is what we're dealing with right now. I am pretty concerned about this one, just because, again, impacting the northeast is a little bit weird. We do have some models, such as the European, that takes it a lot closer to Massachusetts and New Hampshire, kind of impacting Cape Cod and then the more southern coast of Maine, which would be probably worst case scenario. So we're going to be talking all about that within this video. Again, I do apologize, my voice, I just feel terrible right now. Hurricane Margot, this one is at hurricane status, 85 miles per hour, expected to remain below tropical or below Category 3 status, kind of remaining at hurricane, then lowering to tropical storm status by the time we're reaching the weekend. That is the expectation as of now. As we take a look at the overall tropics, we have Lee, Margot, and then this area here, where there is a 20% chance of development over the next 2 days. That does upgrade over the next 7 days to a 70% chance of development, so that goes up relatively quickly there. Let's take a look at the upcoming pattern. By the time we reach later today, we do have this kind of swinging cold front. We do have an area of low pressure here with this swinging cold front underneath, and this is going to bring some more stormy conditions. So we see for these areas overall just a lot of scattered about thunderstorm activity in here. We do see plenty of activity here for the Four Corner States and Rockies as well, so there is a lot of activity ongoing currently. We're already approaching the midway point of September. Very, very hard to believe. Wednesday here on September 13th, we do see this cold front reaching here the eastern seaboard, so a little bit of a stormy day here. So we can see Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, a lot of the mid-Atlantic coast and up into the northeast. We are dealing with storms for all of these areas along that swinging cold front. A lot of cooler air also diving in behind this can be expected as well, so we see this cold air pushing this for the most part. Let's keep going. By the time we reach Thursday, that does move out, so what we end up seeing is a relatively dry pattern here, so not a whole lot going on. But we do watch this Hurricane Lee that is going to sort of make a move like this here on this European model. I have looked at it ahead of time. We do have the Rockies and Four Corner States as well as the Plains dealing with an area of storminess. It kind of looks like a boot right there, a little funny. But we do see snowfall as well, which is interesting for Wyoming and Colorado there. So that is also worth mentioning. Let's keep going, and by the time we reach Friday the 15th, we see that this is a little bit of a quieter pattern. We still have the kind of entire Gulf Coast there and then back up through this area here, dealing with some thunderstorm activity. But overall, a lot of the east and a lot of the west is left pretty high and dry. By the time we reach Saturday afternoon time frame, we see this curve in this storm Lee straight towards Boston almost. Again, in between Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Maine is what I would say. So that coast would be very, very bad off if this happened. Kind of a worst case scenario. It's still a 960-ish millibar low pressure center. I want to see what it is right now. So it's in the 940s, 930s there. So it is going to weaken quite a bit, but still, I mean, a 960 millibar low pressure center is going to be very, very intense for that coastline. And later on in the day, on Sunday, September 17th, we see that this one dramatically weakens once it moves over land, which is always what's expected with tropical systems, of course. We do have some storms impacting here the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley area. And then for the southeast and the rest of the Gulf Coast, we do have a lot of thunderstorms ongoing. So that is what we're dealing with at this point there for Sunday the 17th. Monday the 18th here, what we see is this pocket of storms. And this is going to be for Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, and a lot of eastern Canada there. As you can see, we're dealing with a lot of storms. But really outside of that pocket, not a whole lot else going on. Especially as we move towards Tuesday, we see a much quieter pattern. Some of the southeast here dealing with some thunderstorm activity, but really not much. I mean, Wednesday, kind of the same. Thursday, we start to see this organized system developing here for a lot of the northern plains, northern Rockies, and upper Midwest here. So we're going to see this develop, but this is going to be for the very end of the model run. We'll have to see what ends up happening with this one. The low is here. We have a lot of the activity to the north, which indicates to me that it probably is going to be a lot more showery activity and just straight persistent rainfall as opposed to thunderstorm activity. That's not always the case, but that is a little bit more of the vibe that I get here, if you will. Now, let's move towards the total precipitation. No surprise that we do get a little bit of some lower amounts for most areas. I would say the south central and southwest here through the four corner states down through Oklahoma and Texas is where we get some above average activity. Also for kind of the Gulf Coast into the southeast coast there. And then for a lot of the northeast here, we see with Hurricane Lee making impact, we see the reds, which will be anywhere from 2 to 5 inches. And then we see a lot of browns there for Massachusetts and Maine, as well as New Hampshire, probably seeing some of that. That is going to be 5 to 10 inches. So I would say wind and rain would be your biggest concern. Some storm surge there, especially with the storm. We just have to imagine, I'm going to move us to the northeast here just real quickly so I can show you what I'm talking about. Something like this. Let's do this. Perfect. I mean, if we have the storm here and it's doing this type of a rotation, or even worse if it's further south and we see this type of a rotation, you can see with the shape of this land here, we would see terrible storm surge because the wind would be pushing the water onshore to these areas. So that is something that I've been thinking about as we're kind of just thinking through a lot of this storm, talking about potentially impacting these areas. This does include Boston as well. Obviously, a very, very populated area. Certainly very, very intriguing, very dangerous, and something that we're going to have to watch extremely closely. As we take a look at this temperature pattern, we see this cool down moves through. It lasts quite a bit here through the weekend, through the portions of early next week. And what we see develop is a little bit of a negative P&A look. We talk about this Pacific North American oscillation. When these areas cool down, you see the warmth surge into the east, and sure enough, we see this. So this is the upcoming pattern overall. We're going to be watching very, very closely for it, and it stays this way and looks maybe even stronger as we approach the very end of September. So I think that this is a good bet that we are going to see a pattern like this take over at some point during the mid to late point of the month and maybe stay this way for quite a bit. We're going to have to watch closely and track how October looks. This won't last forever, but certainly an interesting pattern to say the least, and could help with some ice development up in Canada. Let me take a look at what I'm all over the place today, but I'm sick, so whatever. We're going to do a little bit of a special video. We do see a lot of warmth up here. This is not going to help with ice and snow development, but for Alaska and Western Canada, we should see above average amounts of ice development and above average amounts of snowfall. So these are the types of things I'm watching for as we approach kind of the fall to winter time frame. This is exactly what to be looking for. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I do apologize for the missed video once again yesterday. And I do apologize for my voice as well. We are going to get this back on track. I will start to feel better, and we are going to just truck along with this, guys, and get through it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to hit the bell icon, like the video, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.